The last stand. The silence in space was broken by the sudden appearance of massive ships that seemed to tear reality apart as they emerged from hyperspace. Captain Sarah Chen watched from the bridge of the EDS Starfall as dozens of alien vessels materialized near the outer colony of Haven Prime. Their hulls were sleek and dark, almost organic in appearance, with strange energy patterns dancing across their surfaces like living lightning. "Captain, we're receiving distress signals from Haven Prime," Lieutenant Torres called out from the communications station. His voice carried an edge of fear that Sarah had never heard before. "They're reporting massive ships in orbit. No response. To hail attempts." Sarah straightened in her command chair, her dark eyes focused on the tactical display. After 15 years in the Earth Defense Force, she had seen plenty of action against pirates and rogue factions. But this was different. These ships were unlike anything in the human database. They were enormous, some easily twice the size of Earth's largest battleships, and they moved with a fluid grace that seemed impossible for vessels of their mass. "Take us to yellow alert," she ordered, her voice calm despite the growing tension on the bridge. "Send a priority message to Earth Command. Tell them we have possible first contact with an unknown alien species at Haven Prime. The journey to, The colony took 18 hours at maximum burn. During that time, Sarah's crew worked frantically to analyze every scrap of data they could gather about the mysterious ships. The aliens had made no attempt to communicate, no response to any frequency or protocol humanity had developed for first contact scenarios. They simply hung in space around Haven Prime like dark omens. When the Starfall finally arrived at the colony system, what Sarah saw made her blood run cold. Haven Prime, a thriving world of 2 million colonists, was dark. No orbital stations, no traffic control signals, no signs of life at all. The alien ships had arranged themselves in a perfect sphere around the planet, their weapons trained on the surface below. "My God," whispered Dr. Elena Vasquez, the ship's chief science officer. "What happened to everyone?" Before Sarah could respond, her tactical officer spoke up with barely controlled panic in his voice. "Captain, we're being scanned. Multiple alien vessels are turning toward us." The first communication from the aliens came not as words, but as images burned directly into their minds. Sarah felt the alien presence invade her thoughts, showing her visions of worlds consumed, populations enslaved, entire civilizations erased from existence. The message was clear without a single word being spoken: submission or annihilation. "All hands battle stations," Sarah commanded, shaking off the alien mental intrusion. "Weapons hot, shields up. Prepare for combat." The aliens attacked without warning. Beams of searing energy lanced out from their ships, striking the Starfall's shields with devastating force. Sarah's ship was outgunned and outnumbered, but she refused to retreat. Behind her was the trade route to Earth. If she ran now, these monsters would have a clear path to humanity's heart. "Return fire," she ordered. "Target their lead ship." The Starfall's plasma cannons erupted with blue fire, striking one of the alien vessels. The beams seemed to be absorbed by the strange hull material, causing ripples of energy to dance across the ship's surface but doing no visible damage. It was like firing water balloons at a mountain. "Captain, our weapons aren't penetrating their defenses," Lieutenant Torres reported. "Their hull composition is unlike anything we've encountered." More alien ships were moving toward them now. Sarah realized with growing dread that her single ship could not hope to match this force. These beings, whatever they were, possessed technology far beyond humanity's current capabilities. But she also realized something else. They had given her invaluable intelligence about their capabilities, intelligence that Earth would need if humanity was to have any chance of survival. "Helm, prepare for emergency jump to hyperspace," she ordered. "We need to get this information back to Earth." Command. The Starfall barely escaped as alien energy beams carved through space where the ship had been moments before. As they jumped to hyperspace, Sarah took one last look at Haven Prime through the rear sensors. The planet's surface was beginning to glow with an ominous red light. She had witnessed the death of an entire world. The journey back to Earth took 3 days. During that time, Sarah's crew worked around the clock to analyze their encounter with what the xenobiology team had Dubbed the Zephyrians after the Greek god of the west wind that brought change, the name seemed fitting for beings who had changed humanity's place in the universe forever. Earth's reaction to the news was swift and decisive. Admiral Marcus Webb, head of the Defense Council, declared a state of planetary emergency within hours of receiving Sarah's report. Every shipyard in the solar system was converted to military production. Every able-bodied person was conscripted into either military service or defense industry work. "Captain Chen," Admiral Webb said during their briefing at Luna Command Station, "your ship encountered an enemy that outclasses us in every possible way. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. How do we fight something like that?" Sarah had been asking herself the same question for 3 days. "Admiral, we can't match their technology, but we might be able to match their numbers. If we can build enough ships, coordinate our attacks, maybe we can overwhelm them through sheer volume of fire." Webb nodded grimly. "That's exactly what we're hoping, but Sarah, there's something else. Something I need to show you." The Admiral led her through secure corridors deep beneath Luna's surface to a restricted section she had never seen before. Behind massive blast doors lay a command center buzzing with activity. Holographic displays showed ship designs unlike anything in the standard Earth Defense Force fleet. "Project Phoenix," Webb explained. "We've been developing this in secret for the past 5 years, ever since our deep space probes detected anomalous energy signatures in distant systems. We suspected we weren't alone in the universe, and we wanted to be prepared." The ships on the displays were sleek and deadly, incorporating experimental technologies that pushed the boundaries of human engineering. Quantum-enhanced armor, plasma weapons with variable frequency outputs, and most importantly, artificial intelligence systems that could react faster than any human crew. "How many ships?" Sarah asked. "If we can complete construction, nearly 300 vessels. But that's the problem. We need at least 6 months to finish the fleet, and intelligence suggests the Zephyrians will be here in 3. Sarah studied the ship designs with growing excitement. These weren't just improvements on existing technology. They represented a completely new approach to space combat. "Admiral, what if we don't wait for them to come to us? What if we take the fight to them while they're still regrouping?" Webb shook his head. "Too risky. We'd be fighting them in deep space with only our current fleet. They'd tear us apart." But Sarah had an idea forming. "Not if we use hit-and-run tactics. Small task forces striking at their scouts and supply lines. We couldn't win a decisive battle, but we could buy time. Maybe even gather more intelligence about their weaknesses." Over the following weeks, Sarah found herself promoted to commander and given charge of a special operations task force. Her mission was simple in concept but nearly impossible in execution: delay the Zephyrian advance by any means necessary, while the Phoenix fleet completed construction. Her task force consisted of 12 ships, all volunteers who understood they were likely on a suicide mission. They struck at Zephyrian scout groups, isolated patrol ships, and supply convoys. Each engagement taught them more about their enemy's capabilities and tactics. The Zephyrians were methodical and efficient, but they were also predictable. They relied heavily on their technological superiority and seemed unprepared for the guerrilla tactics that Sarah's forces employed. By striking fast and retreating before the enemy could respond in force, her task force managed to destroy over 30 alien vessels while losing only 3 of their own. But the victories came at a cost. Each engagement brought more Zephyrian ships into the system. Intelligence reports indicated that the main alien fleet was massing near the edge of known space, preparing for a final assault on Earth itself. Commander James Park, Sarah's old friend from the Academy, contacted her with increasingly desperate reports from the outer colonies. "Sarah, they're not just conquering worlds. They're harvesting them. Entire populations are being taken as slaves. The lucky ones die in the initial bombardment." The weight of humanity's situation pressed down on Sarah like a physical force. They were fighting for the survival of their entire species against an enemy that seemed unstoppable. But every day her task force bought was another day for the Phoenix fleet to near completion, another day for Earth scientists to develop new weapons and defenses. As the weeks turned to months, Sarah began to notice changes in the Zephyrian response patterns. They were adapting to human tactics, sending larger patrol groups and coordinating their movements more effectively. The easy victories were becoming harder to achieve, and the losses were mounting. Then came the day that changed everything. Sarah's task force was returning from a successful raid on a Zephyrian supply depot when their long-range sensors detected something that made every bridge crew member fall silent. Ships were emerging from hyperspace near Jupiter. Not dozens this time, but hundreds. The main Zephyrian fleet had arrived, and they were heading straight for Earth. All ships, emergency burn to Earth orbit, Sarah commanded, knowing it was probably futile. The alien fleet was massive beyond imagination, stretching across space like a dark tide of destruction. Even if the Phoenix fleet was ready, could it possibly be enough to stop this armada? As her ships raced toward humanity's last stand, Sarah found herself thinking about the colonists of Haven Prime, about all the worlds that had fallen before the Zephyrian advance. Humanity had always prided itself on being survivors, on finding a way to overcome impossible odds. Now they would face their greatest test. The final battle for Earth was about to begin, and Sarah Chen would be at the center of it all, leading humanity's desperate defense against extinction itself. The Phoenix rises. The Zephyrian armada filled the void between Jupiter and Mars like a plague of metallic locusts. Commander Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of her flagship, the newly commissioned EDS Phoenix, watching the tactical display with grim determination. The alien fleet numbered over 800 vessels, each one a testament to their advanced technology and ruthless efficiency. "Status report," Sarah commanded, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what they faced. "Phoenix fleet is at full strength, Commander," reported Captain Diana Ross from the tactical station. 297 ships ready for combat. All vessels report green across the board. Sarah nodded, but the numbers felt inadequate against the massive alien force approaching Earth. The Phoenix fleet represented humanity's greatest technological achievement, but they were still outnumbered nearly 3-1 by an enemy that had conquered dozens of worlds. Admiral Webb's voice crackled through the communication system from Luna Command. "Sarah, the evacuation transports are loading the last civilians from Earth's major cities. We need at least 6 hours to get them clear of the system." "Understood, Admiral. We'll buy you that time, whatever it takes." The bridge crew exchanged glances. Everyone knew the odds. The Phoenix fleet was humanity's last hope, but even with their advanced technology, defeating the Zephyrian armada seemed impossible. Yet there was something in Sarah's voice, a quiet confidence that steadied their nerves. Dr. Elena Vasquez, now the fleet's chief science officer, approached Sarah with a data pad. "Commander, I've been analyzing the quantum resonance patterns. From our previous engagements, I think I've found something." Sarah studied the data, her eyes widening as she grasped the implications. "Elena, are you certain about this?" 97% confidence. The Zephyrian ships are connected through a quantum communication network. If we can disrupt the central node, we might be able to create chaos in their formation. "Which ship is the central node?" Elena pointed to the tactical display where a massive vessel, easily twice the size of any other Zephyrian ship, held position at the center of the alien formation. "That one. It has to be their command vessel." Sarah smiled for the first time in weeks. "Then that's our target. Signal all ships. We're going to punch a hole straight through their fleet and take out their command ship." The Phoenix fleet moved forward in perfect formation, their sleek hulls gleaming in the distant light of Sol. Unlike the brutal angular designs of the Zephyrian vessels, the human ships were elegant and purposeful, each one a masterpiece of engineering and determination. As they approached the alien fleet, Sarah opened a channel to all Phoenix ships. "This is Commander Chen to all vessels. Today we fight not just for Earth, but for every human who has ever dreamed of reaching the stars. The Zephyrians think they can break us, but they don't understand what makes us human. We don't give up, we don't surrender, and we sure as hell don't go quietly into the night." The first exchange of fire lit up space like a newborn star. Zephyrian energy beams lanced out toward the Phoenix fleet, but the human ships were ready. Their quantum-enhanced shields absorbed the initial barrage, distributing the energy across their hulls in cascading waves of light. The Phoenix fleet's response was devastating. The experimental plasma weapons that Dr. Vasquez had developed specifically for this battle tore through Zephyrian shields like paper. The variable frequency output meant the alien ships couldn't adapt their defenses quickly enough. "Direct hit on the alien vanguard," reported Captain Ross. "Their shields are down to 60%. Sarah watched as the first Zephyrian ships began to explode, their dark hulls rupturing in brilliant fireballs. For the first time since Haven Prime, humanity was giving as good as it got. But the victory was temporary. The Zephyrians were already adapting, their ships' hulls beginning to shift and change to better absorb the human weapons. "All ships, implement attack pattern Delta," Sarah ordered. "Don't give them time to adapt." The Phoenix fleet split into 3 groups, each one attacking from a different vector. The Zephyrians found themselves caught in a crossfire that their formation couldn't handle. Ships that had been designed to work together in perfect harmony suddenly found themselves firing on each other as they tried to track multiple human attack groups. But the alien fleet was learning. New ships emerged from hyperspace behind the human formation, cutting off their escape routes. Sarah realized with growing alarm that they were being surrounded. "Commander, we've got Zephyrian reinforcements coming in from all directions," reported Lieutenant Torres. "They're trying to box us in." Sarah studied the tactical display, her mind racing through possibilities. The Zephyrians were using their superior numbers to create a trap, but they were also making a mistake. By surrounding the Phoenix fleet, they were putting their command ship within striking distance. "Signal all ships. We're going to do something the Zephyrians won't expect. We're going to charge straight at their command vessel." The bridge crew stared at Sarah in shock. "Commander, that's suicide," Captain Ross protested. "We'll be flying into the heart of their formation." "Exactly. They'll never expect it, which means they won't be prepared for it." "Elena, how long do we need to get close enough to disrupt their quantum network?" Dr. Vasquez checked her calculations. 30 seconds within 1,000 kilometers of their command ship. Then that's what we'll do." Sarah opened a channel to the entire fleet. "All ships, this is our moment. We punch through their formation, take out their command ship, and save humanity. It's that simple." The Phoenix fleet reformed into a spearhead formation, with Sarah's flagship at the point. They accelerated toward the massive Zephyrian command vessel, their weapons blazing. Alien ships tried to intercept them, but the human vessels were too fast and too coordinated. The artificial intelligence systems that controlled the Phoenix fleet's tactical responses were working perfectly, calculating firing solutions and evasive maneuvers faster than any human crew could manage. Ships that should have been destroyed managed to slip through walls of enemy fire with mere meters to spare. As they approached the command ship, Sarah could see its true scale. The vessel was enormous, a floating city of dark metal and organic, curves that seemed to pulse with malevolent life. Weapons ports along its hull were already turning toward the approaching human fleet. "Commander, massive energy buildup on the command ship," reported Captain Ross. "They're preparing to fire some kind of superweapon." Sarah gritted her teeth. They were so close. "Elena, can you disrupt their network now?" "Not yet. We need to get closer." The Zephyrian command ship fired. A beam of pure energy, wider than any human vessel, lanced out toward the Phoenix fleet. Sarah watched in horror as 3 of her ships were caught in the beam and simply ceased to exist, vaporized in an instant. "Evasive maneuvers!" Sarah shouted. "All ships scatter and regroup." But even as her fleet scattered, Sarah kept her flagship on course toward the command ship. If they could just get close enough, if Elena's plan worked, they might still have a chance. The Phoenix dove through a storm of enemy fire, her hull blazing with absorbed energy. Systems overloaded and deck plates buckled, but the ship held together. Sarah felt rather than saw the moment when they crossed the threshold into the command ship's defensive perimeter. "Now, Elena," Sarah ordered. Dr. Vasquez triggered the quantum disruptor, a device that had been built into the Phoenix's hull specifically for this moment. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The massive Zephyrian command ship shuddered as its quantum communication network collapsed. Across the alien fleet, ships began to drift as their coordinated responses failed. But the victory came at a cost. The quantum disruptor had drained the Phoenix's power systems, leaving them dead in space directly in front of the Zephyrian command ship. Sarah watched as the alien vessel's weapons turned toward them, knowing they had seconds before their ship was destroyed. That was when the impossible happened. New ships emerged from hyperspace, but these weren't Zephyrian vessels. They were human ships, but unlike anything Sarah had ever seen. Sleek, powerful, and moving with purpose, they struck at the confused alien fleet with devastating precision. "Commander, this is Admiral Webb," came a voice over the communication system. "Phoenix Reserve Fleet reporting for duty. Sorry we're late to the party." Sarah stared in amazement as the Reserve Fleet, ships that had been kept secret even from her, tore through the disorganized Zephyrian formation. These vessels were equipped with weapons that made the Phoenix fleet look primitive, energy cannons that could punch through alien shields as if they weren't there. The tide of battle had turned. The Zephyrian fleet, robbed of their coordination and facing fresh human forces, began to retreat. But Sarah wasn't finished yet. The command ship was still operational, still a threat to Earth. "All ships target the command vessel," Sarah ordered, as power slowly returned to the Phoenix. "We end this now." The combined human fleets concentrated, their fire on the massive alien ship. Its shields flared and died under the sustained assault. Hull plates began to buckle and crack. Atmosphere vented from a dozen breaches. In the end, it was Sarah's ship that delivered the killing blow. A perfectly aimed plasma torpedo struck the command ship's reactor core, triggering a chain reaction that lit up space like a second sun. The explosion was so massive that it created a shockwave that could be felt throughout the solar system. The remaining Zephyrian ships, leaderless and demoralized, fled back to hyperspace. They had been defeated, driven back by the very species they had intended to enslave. Humanity had not only survived, but had proven itself capable of standing against any threat the galaxy could throw at them. In the aftermath of the battle, Sarah stood on the observation deck of the Phoenix, looking out at the debris field that had once been the Zephyrian Armada. The cost had been terrible. Nearly half of the Phoenix fleet had been destroyed, and thousands of brave souls had given their lives for humanity's survival. But they had won. Earth was safe. The human race would continue to reach for the stars, to explore and discover and grow. And if other threats emerged from the darkness between worlds, they would find humanity ready to meet them. Admiral Webb joined Sarah at the observation deck. "The Zephyrians won't be back," he said quietly. "Our intelligence teams have been monitoring their communication networks. Word of their defeat is spreading through their empire. They've learned to fear us." Sarah nodded, but her expression remained thoughtful. "Good. But this was just the beginning, wasn't it? Now that we know we're not alone, everything changes." "Yes," Webb agreed. "But we've proven something important today. We've shown that humanity doesn't back down from a fight. We adapt, we overcome, and we never give up. That's what makes us human." As the Phoenix and the surviving ships of the human fleet began their journey back to Earth, Sarah felt a sense of pride and hope she had never experienced before. They had faced extinction and emerged victorious. Whatever challenges lay ahead in the vast cosmos, humanity would meet them with courage, ingenuity, and the unbreakable spirit that had carried them from the caves of Earth to the stars themselves. The age of humanity in the galaxy had truly begun.